Hello Reddit. What was the best moment of your entire life so far? The first time I paid all of my bills from writing fiction and still had some to spare. That's a good feeling, man. Never goes away. Realizing 15 years of hell are over and that my new parents probably won't hurt me. Once I got out of prison, I got her a good job, got married, bought my first home, got custody of my daughter, and am now in the process of adopting my wife's children. After all this, my mom broke down the other day, happy and extreme, most proud to see her son grew up and away from a destructive lifestyle I had previous that sent me to prison. Never seen my mom like that, and brought me to tears to know I've made my mom proud. When I learned to accept myself for who I am, that I can't be everyone's best friend and that's okay. Having casual friends that like me for me has made up one of the better parts of my life. Probably flying to the US to meet with a long-time online friend and taking the big step of actually getting to know them in person. It's opened the door to many similar experiences. I'll be meeting up with more online friends in July. When I finally got to go to Zambia and pet and walk a cheetah at a sanctuary/breeding facility. Cheetahs have been my favorite animal my whole life. My room was covered in pictures of them as a kid, and my room was also themed as Africa. So this was pretty amazing. And they purred and licked me. Cheetahs are the absolute best. They are naturally not aggressive actually, and have never killed a person. It helps that my whole family was on this trip with me. So I got to share the fun, warm fuzzies with all of them. Now they all love cheetahs as much as I do. When I was finally healed from OCD and a terrible depression I had, every day I would wash myself until I found my skin bleeding, and I couldn't remember whether I had locked the door or whether I had turned my computer off, and so on. I felt like my memory didn't work anymore. I couldn't remember things. It was so overwhelming that I couldn't take it anymore. When I was about to suicide, I decided to enlist in the military. That experience changed my life, not the military itself, but all the traveling to another place to start a new life and a new job. I learned that I was much stronger than I could even imagine. When I decided to quit the military and I was back to my hometown, I noticed that I was almost totally healed from my previous illnesses. I had a completely new mindset. I was much more rational, and nothing would uncertain me anymore. All that mattered was my food, my money, my opinions, and my survival. So, to answer your question, when I finally found myself healed, that was the best moment of my entire life. The day I first loved myself as an adult. It was when I realized not only did I not want to die before I lived, but that I could live. Not just survive, but live. And that other people's opinions of me, the opinions that I'd been judging myself by for so long, didn't matter as much as my own. I mattered. Either when the New York Giants won the Super Bowl in 2008, or when the Hotspurs beat Ajax in the Champions League. I have 4 kids, and they are the joy of my life, but honestly I can't say it was when they were born. I found the whole thing extremely stressful. Once I knew everyone was going to be okay, of course it got better, but the lack of control was scary. I haven't had an extraordinary moment in my life yet, but it's probably my 7th birthday. It was the best party I ever had. Flying to Alaska from Scotland at 18. Passport/money stolen and stranded for 2 years. Built a cabin, hunted moose, grew weed, MTF. I lived in Matanuska-Susitna Valley, snowboarded off Hatcher's Pass, wild, untended slope, raised chickens and turkeys, met the love of my life by the roadside, several near-death experiences, literal digging for gold, parties and friends, 20 hours of daylight, 20-hour nights. Truthfully a desperate situation, but I have never felt more alive than I did then. Gluing myself back together after hitting a complete rock bottom. It was a very difficult learning experience, but the changes I see from 6 months ago until now is night and day. It's not a single moment, but every day I see it a little more. Almost like taking a much needed breath of fresh air. Birth of my daughter. Thought I understood the meaning of unconditional love before that day, but I honestly didn't. The moment I first held her, I knew I'd love and protect her over anything. When my crush told me he has a crush on me and gave me his most prized possession, a One Ring from Lord of the Rings, I was also a huge Lotta fan. I still wear the ring. Getting married was one of the best days of my life. I got to marry my best friend and be surrounded by all our family/friends. We definitely had mishaps, but it helped us realize that life isn't perfect and we are always going to have punches thrown at us, but if we are together we are fine. I love him more and more each and every day. I would also say the day that we rescued our dog. The moment we met him, we knew that he was ours. There was an instant connection and I have never felt that towards any other thing in my life. He is a super nervous bulldog/boxer mix and his fosters warned us it might take him a while to get used to us, but the entire ride home he was giving me kisses. He ran into the house and made himself at home, including sleeping on our bed with us that first night. Yeah, we suck and let him sleep with us. And then, the next morning, this is something I will never forget. I was laying on our couch and he came down the stairs, looked at me, and jumped up, and cuddled and instantly fell asleep with me. It's now our typical morning, or routine anytime I'm on the couch. He has made our lives so much better, and I do not want to think about the time we don't have him. My mom had a heart attack which did damage and caused her to be very sick and weak. She was in the hospital for a month and eventually had open heart surgery. It was a very scary time leading up to and the day of the surgery. She came through it pretty damn well. I would say the best day of my life so far was when I finally knew that she was going to be okay. My first daughter's birth. I've always wanted to be a dad, and the realization that my biggest dream has been fulfilled is something else. As bad as it sounds, the second child's birth wasn't as amazing, if just because my dream was already fulfilled. Another highlight is getting to the point where my own business I ran by myself was finally becoming sufficient enough to support myself 100% and then some. It still amazes me that from nothing I've built something self-sustaining. Tomorrow I pick up my first dog. My first dog for myself, completely independently. I've had dogs before and other pets, but this is the first I'm getting, if that makes sense. I imagine this will be a pretty big moment too. My girlfriend nearly died of blood loss during the birth of our first child, so the best moment of my life was several hours later, where she finally could return to our room at the hospital. My son had been a crying mess since birth, but when she returned he just got all relaxed and fell asleep for the first time in his life. The day I went to the hospital to meet my newborn brother, I was obsessed with him and became his second mother. To this day he's pretty much my son. When I recovered after my kidney transplant, 2016 was a rough year for us. I was just 19 when I was diagnosed with this kidney failure. It was a complete shock to my family as I was another healthy 19-year-old guy. My mother burst into tears after hearing this, and my health deteriorated a lot during the next few months till my surgery. After I healed completely and began living a normal life, seeing my family happy after experiencing all of this was the greatest experience I've ever had. Also going to Switzerland and seeing those beautiful Alps was a great moment too.